Hey everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with a special video tonight. We got an old friend of the show. He just recently won the MCS on Saturday. That was about a day ago for us right now, and we're really excited to have him here. Kamel and I used to do a show called End Phase, and I think Shaowz was on there every other episode just about there in the beginning, so...
Little known for those OG members, Shaowz is the only winner of Dex Factor ever.
Two-time winner.
Two-time winner, only winner. There you go.
And he used to be around back in my old non-meta days, back when I was in DLU, and you won 2 of those non-metas, didn't you, buddy?
I did.
I
remember.
I
got a Silent Swordsman band.
Yep, got Silent Swordsman band. That's right. And this guy took first place NA in a KC Cup. What, 2 years ago?
November 2018.
Yeah, 2 years.
Hey,
Yeah,
there you go.
Certified clapper on the show with us tonight. You know, I was watching the MCS and I saw that you were in, I saw you in the semis and I saw you going to the finals. I'm like, oh, he's got this. He's got this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Too easy. So how does it feel to finally get an MCS? This is like getting your Super Bowl ring, you know?
Yeah, this is massive. Yeah, it feels great. Like, the goal into it was, like, I have yet to top an MCS at all. So that was the goal, was just to top. But, like, obviously I didn't think that I would be able to take it all the way. Like, it's surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember back in the day that being a really big goal for you, wanting to top an MCS and do well. So it's really good to see you achieve that here. So of course I got to ask you, the new setting for tournaments and the MCS, a big tournament like the MCS specifically, how was the big change? Have you been entering tournaments recently before the ban list? Like, what's been up with you in the tournament scene?
Yeah, I every now and then I try to get into a tournament to play, like just to mess around or to de-rust, because I do work a lot. So like whenever I get the chance, like if there's a tournament and I'm not working or not hanging out with anyone or anything, I try to enter. Like a lot of the battle phases start when I get right when I get off work, like at 4 o'clock. So or like 5. So I try to enter those when I work those hours.
You take a first round DQ.
Every now and then.
You always start 0-1.
Nah, I usually no. Well, okay. Yes, I do always start 0-1, but that's because I always just get bopped in round 1. That has been like a curse of mine recently. Like I would just lose round 1, but I still top. Like I don't know. It's kind of funny actually, but yeah. So I play every now and then. As far as like the big tournaments goes, like the MCS or like the weekend tournaments, I usually don't get to play in those because I usually work like in the middle of the tournament. So I finally had the weekend off this week. Like this is my 4th MCS overall, like in all of like the 3 years of playing.
Oh, wow.
like ever. Yeah, this is like the 4th one I got to play in.
So it's that easy to win one. You just got to play 4 and you win.
It's like a stamp. Like on your 4th stamp, you get a free win.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I finally got to. I got the day off, and I was like, all right, let me play in this. And it just so happened to go my way.
Nice. That's got to be so nerve-wracking because you're playing in front of 5,000 people, obviously. And then how many? Is it 6 rounds or is it 7 rounds of Swiss?
It's seven rounds of Swiss.
7 rounds of Swiss. Then you got to play 5 rounds in the top 32. So that's a lot of games. Yeah. That's a lot of games to play.
It is a lot. That's the whole day.
Mentally prepared. Yeah, it's like 8, 9 hours. How long did it take you?
I think it starts at 1, and I think it ended at 11. So
okay. So it was a 10
hours. I think 10 hours. Yeah. Or if it wasn't 11, I think it was actually 10. But 9 hours. It's still long.
Still
like 9
a long
hours,
day, right?
Yeah.
So I
that's
mean,
a lot of invocations being activated. Like
a lot of your one invocation being activated, right?
Yeah, like
because it takes up such a long period of time during the day. I'm always interested in what happens in the downtime for you guys because we also have IRL going on, right? So it's like, do you have stuff going on around the house and you're just like, Mom, leave me alone. I'm winning the MCS. You still need to do the laundry and make dinner. You know, it's like, Mom, I'm on stream. I mean, did you have something like that
I'm
going
on
on?
stream. No, not really. Today
Okay.
was pretty chill. You know, I didn't really have to do anything. You know, no work. I ate before the MCS, so I didn't start getting like I wasn't like starving during the MCS.
Hmm.
Like, that usually happens a lot when I play in the tournaments. Like other tournaments, like I'll play right, and I'll like do well, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to like start cooking and like be like half focused, and
Right.
I end up having to do it anyways. Like, I've lost like Meta Weekly tops like top 16s to that, like just because like I you know, not fully focused, but
You're like cooking a steak or making spaghetti, and you're playing. Yeah,
yeah,
you have
essentially.
the spatula in one hand and the
Oh,
phone in the
yeah,
other.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
During my only tournament win, I had to go to the grocery store and I was coming off work in Swiss. And it was the most nerve-wracking thing. Like, I hope I don't lose service, please. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So like, but this is probably like one of the first times where I didn't have like any other worries, like anything else to worry about throughout the day. So, on the downtime, I was just chilling, you know, talking to my teammates, like, yeah, you know, I won, you know, we out here. How'd you guys do? Type stuff. So,
Okay, well, speaking of
it's
wins,
pretty chill.
what was your record overall for the day?
All right, so it's a little confusing. So technically, I went undefeated. I won
Oh, here
all
comes some
rounds.
bullshit. You know it. As soon as you hear him say technically, I went
Yeah,
undefeated.
it's weird. It's weird. So like, in Swiss in round 5, so I was 4-0, and in round 5 I play against another guy at top. His name was Rio. He also played the deck that I played against in the finals, the Invoked Roid Garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this is my first time playing against the deck. I didn't like I never really seen it. So like I was a little like after the first game and I lost the first game like pretty badly. I was like, okay, I see what this deck's trying to do to me now. I win game 2, and you know it's a mirror match of Invoked and he's playing stall, so like it's gonna go to time. So game 3, there's like 10 minutes left in the timer. I'm like, all right, I just had to hit him once and pray. Or luck or hope that he just breaks hard or something. So we're playing it out, and you know that the new card that they're using from the new box, the hand trap that
The
Battle
Battle
take
Box
damage.
Veil. Battle
Yeah, the
Box
Veil. Yep. That card. So I hit him for 1600 with Winda, right? All right. So he hits me first. Like I take 100 points of damage, like in like the start of the duel. And then I hit him with Winda for 1600, and he activates that card to gain life.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where I think the mods messed up. The mod that ruled it in my favor, they counted time right when he took the damage before the card resolved, like within those seconds.
Oh man.
They call it
Yeah.
right then and there.
Right then and there, like right then and there. I
It
was
doesn't
like,
even. Oh wow.
Yikes!
Yeah, I
Those DLM
suppose.
mods, the precise second, they're crazy.
I guess you
Yeah.
kind of
Holy.
have to though, right? Because
But
otherwise,
but
Yeah.
here's where the mess up is. So it's not at the end of it's not right when it happens. It's at the end of the turn. That is when like it's supposed. I'm pretty sure that's how it's in the rules. But they ruled it wrong, and they moved me on to the next round as a win. I was like, whoa, hold up. Like I
Oh,
didn't at first I was like, wait, but like because in my head I'm thinking that you know I lost because he took I took damage first, and he technically never went under my life points, you know. So
right.
so he ends up losing it, and I was trying to say like, well,
so you're trying to
and
be
this is
good
before
guy
I knew that
Shaowz.
they called it. Yeah, this is before they knew that before I knew that they called it on that direct second. So I was like, damn, that's crazy. Okay, well, I guess. And then they told me it was on that second, and they ruled it wrong. I was like, damn. So then you know it then sunk in that you know I'm finally gonna top my first MCS. I was like, but I have to win this out so I can like earn it. Like I can feel like I earned it. I didn't just get like a lucky win, you know.
Right.
So, and then I go in to play Victor Lee in round 6. Funny enough, and like I'm still soaking it in. Like did that really just happen while I'm playing him? So like I'm like half paying attention to like that match, and I just clap him. like 2-0, I think.
Ouch, you're playing with half a brain and you still beat him, no
And
problem.
I still beat the god Victor Lee. It's crazy. So that happens, and then I win that, and then round 7 I play against Kidman. He won the MCS 2 or 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat him. He came late to the match, so he got a game 1 loss, and then he break game 2.
Oh man.
So
They're just passing
Yeah.
Shaowz along through the tournament. They're just like,
essentially,
this is his
I'm just
tournament to
getting-
win.
Yeah, it was my day essentially.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild. So
No, I mean, sometimes you just gotta go with what the referees say. You know what I mean? You see that a lot in
I wasn't
football
fighting
where
it.
maybe they're like, oh, that was an interference call, maybe it wasn't, and then they rule after the game the referees are wrong. But you just got to play the game as it's called. So
yeah,
they,
it's not my fault. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I know I felt a little bit bad like about it, but he still topped, so it obviously it didn't matter too much,
Right.
at the end in the grand scheme of things.
I mean,
Like,
it
just keep
affects your
going.
it affects your seeding once you get into the top 32. But once you're into the top 32, it's a whole new tournament, right?
Yeah, you just have to win. Like that only really matters like if like the person that barely tops is like not a good player, and that rarely happens,
Well, yeah, especially in an MCS.
yeah.
Right.
So
So I do have a couple questions for you, Shaowz. Of course, probably one of the biggest questions that most of our viewers have for you is Invoked Neos is still good? Like what?
I do have the
Yeah,
deck on
bro.
the screen, so feel free to reference it all you want.
Of course. So my whole question first is first, did you play Invoked Neos before this current format, this current ban list? And if you did, how did you see it differ from how it used to play?
yeah. So I in that meta it was like Witchcrafters, Invoke Neos, and I think I forgot the third deck. But I played the Invoke Neos a decent bit near the end. Like that was like my go-to deck for tournaments.
Mhm.
So it definitely felt like interesting. Like it was like a nerf version. Like I mean, it obviously is a nerf version of the deck, but it really felt like a nerf version of the deck because that deck was so consistent. Getting like what it needed because you had 3 Alistair, 3 Keeper, 2 Neos Fusion. Like it was really consistent at what it did, which is why it was so good. But like this version of the deck, I think it's still pretty nice because you have one, you get to play 20 cards. That version played a lot of cards. Excuse me. And 2, like it takes advantage of like the 3 Karma Cut, like being able to play 3 Karma Cut without going like neg at all in this meta is just too valuable, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to go with it in the tournament. Also, I figured it would be like a surprise factor because like people knew about it, but I don't think a majority of the like players thought that it would do as well as it did. So that's how I saw it
Right.
in that way.
Okay, so that you bring up a very good point there. So you said it's a nerf version of the deck, and I agree with you. But one big difference between this version of the deck and the old version of the deck is that Invoked Neos before used Switcheroo, which, if you
Yeah.
guys don't remember, was -15. You swap a card from your hand, you draw another. Now they're using Fire Reload, which is a little bit more specific, but can offer kind of the same amount of draw power. If you only control pyro monsters in your hand, you can send
Yeah.
them back to the deck and draw the same amount of cards. Now, my first impression was that I don't know how many times that you're going to have all pyro monsters in your hand. So how did the skills stack up, do you think? Like, is this one more powerful? Is it considerably weaker, but just like the best that they have at the time?
I think if we had Fire Reload before, I think it would be like leagues better than Switcheroo, because like being able to throw like Shell at this point isn't a brick. Like if you open Shell and or like if you open 2 Shell, that's like goated. Like being able to just throw back 2 cards and to get 2 fresh cards, like
Right.
like Switcheroo obviously was really good. There's a reason why I got hit. But I think I think Fire Reload is probably better. Based on like just Shell not being a brick, because you could like with Switcheroo you can still brick with Shell. Like I remember those hands where it would be like 3 shells in hand, and I was like, bruh, like there's nothing I can do about this, you know. Um, and also what I really like about it is like mid game, like
Mhm.
if you haven't used the skill yet, like it can honestly just bring you back into the game. Like if you have 2 shells in hand, like being able to throw them back for a potential Alistair or like back row you need to, you know, stay
Right.
alive or apply
Yeah.
the pressure. It's just too
And
good.
and I'm just imagining that I'm looking at this deck list right now, and every other card in this deck, you're going to want to play it as soon as you see it in your hand. So the
Yes,
only
yes.
cards that you're going to have in your hand that you don't want to get rid of as soon as you have them are the volcanic shells. So something that I was worried about before, like seeing this being played around, is how often are you really going to be able to activate this for a draw two? But it seems like you really would be able to activate it pretty often with you discarding them with Karma Cut and then being
Hmm.
able to add them back to your hand to draw two. So it does seem pretty consistent after thinking about it for a bit.
Yeah, if you open one and you open Neos Fusion, that's a draw two. Like or that's a shuffle back for two. Or like a lot of there were some games where I would be able to use the skill to throw it back, but I decided against it because like my back row is good enough. So maybe like if they don't pressure my back row enough, I can just wait and then throw and then next turn search another shell and like if I open Neos Fusion, and then you know just use the skill for two, like just little like things like that matter a lot because you know some people you think like yeah, you got to use the skill right away, but like that's not always the case. You know, the only time I really use the skill right away is if I felt I needed like something like if I was desperate,
Right.
or if like I well I guess desperate is pretty much the only reason.
So
You
kind of
know,
like playing restart then, like a mini
yeah,
restart.
essentially.
Yeah.
Because
Now,
it's always going to be live. The only card that you can draw that you cannot play is Neos. Like that's the only time, but that's a brick regardless. Like you
right.
can't really do anything about that. So
Now you,
you
you were
know,
kind of talking about your back row, and before we started the video, you said you kind of relied on your back row this time around. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I'm looking at the ratios here, and if you want to talk about it a little bit, but the one ballista squad, why the single ballista squad? Why didn't you go like 3 Fiendish Chain or 3 Canadia or something like that?
well, the main reason for the one ballista squad was for like cancer cards, like non-fusion area, Necro Valley cards like that I just have no out to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have no out to it if I wasn't playing that card. So
Okay.
or outside of like making Direwolf, you know. So um I just wanted that extra protection. Also like I can't tell me like count how many times I drew that ballista squad and it won me the game. Like I honestly like wish you could fit 2 ballista squads, but like in this list like you don't really want to be tributing Windows or you know Neos you know. So it was like I wanted to fit the second one in like over like maybe one of the Canadias.
Mhm.
Um but I felt that like well it'll come up when it comes up and it felt and it that's essentially what happened throughout the whole tournament. Um I felt 2 Canadia was fine. It's really nice against Noble Knights. It's the main reason why I played it because I assumed that there would be a lot of them in the tournament. It also isn't bad against Desperado. You need it. You need to flip down the Desperado when you need to push for games. So, like, that's one way to deal with it. Um, Phoenix Chain, obviously, good card. Just too good not to play. Uh, and Karma Cut, obviously, like the best card in the game right now. Just if you're not playing a deck with Karma Cut, then you're probably playing like a sack deck. So like and this deck utilizes Karma Cut too well not to play it at 3. So um, that's how I felt about the back row. It was just really like it covers like pretty much the whole tier list for the most part. You
Well,
know,
Fiendish Chain's nice in this deck because you can afford to kind of like clog up your back row a little bit.
yeah,
Because a lot of decks just don't have room for it. Like a Noble Knights, you definitely wouldn't want to have something like that in your
yeah,
back row. Whereas this deck, you can actually get away with it. So we've actually seen Phoenix Chain being used less recently. That's why I was kind of
yeah.
surprised
That
to
is
see
true.
it.
Yeah, and with Xyz's
Yeah,
deck,
in this deck
go ahead.
with this deck, like you know your win con is usually Purgatrio, so Phoenix Chain is like Phoenix or like, you know, Purgatrio's best friend. You know, being able to just stop your opponent. They leave the monster on board and then you just take it out with Purg, potentially pushing for game. It's also necessary against Desperado. I needed to make sure that like every trap in my deck could deal with Desperado. Like that was another thing that I needed to make sure of, because that's like what people consider the best deck.
Oh,
So,
it was the best
Also
deck
very
by
important.
far last week. Trust me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one more question I have about your deck that it may be more obvious to some, but maybe not to others. What place do Winda and the Ritual Beast extra deck monsters have in a deck like Invoked Neos? And maybe as a wider question, why do we see Ritual Beasts in these kind of decks? There was another deck in the top cut of the MCS. It was a stall deck. It was the Roids, Invoked Roids. It was also playing 3 Winda. So what kind of purpose does Winda and the Ritual Beasts have in this deck?
I think that with decks like these where it's a lot of like cards just thrown together that just so happen to synergize, like Winda is like that one like monster card that you can just throw in any deck that automatically nets you like a 2600 Armades kind, not Armades, what's another card like that, like Star Eater type of effect,
Yeah.
or a 2800 defense ulti
Like a
pedal that can't be
reactor
destroyed.
dragon, you know, like
Right.
there you can't stop them.
Can't stop him. So like I think Winda is just too splashable not to play in decks like that. Where you expect, especially against decks when you expect Desperado, like Desperado essentially has to deal with that card eventually, or they just get decked out, you know. And the
Mhm.
only way they're gonna do that is if they have the Karma Cuts, or if they exceed for it, which is obviously utilizing resources for only for my only one window essentially. So it just feels so good. And also like it also helps that like against other back row decks, you can, if you do happen to draw into 2 windows, like you can force out a lot of back row with tagging out into the windows. Like I had that come up a lot during the tournament.
You
where
just
I was
mentioned
just like,
something very interesting, right? And I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing that again. You said that using Winda, right, and force and bringing out a something like an ulti pedal against Desperado forces them to like exease or have karma cuts to deal with it because they can't deal with it with their Desperado, so they gotta, Diamond Darrow with
they have
Black
to go out of their
Sheep,
way.
or Black Sheep or Corman, they have to go out of their way. And then a deck like Desperado, when it uses too many of their resources, or any deck that doesn't have business running Xyz monsters, if they use them to out cards like this, they're using their resources they need to pop off. So I think that's really important
Yeah.
as to why Ritual Beasts are so good at giving you like a monster that your opponent has to go out of their way to play around, kind of like Kakaitis was in the last meta.
I was about to say the pedal fin is like one effect away from being Cositis in this deck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it just they can target it, right? And that's what the Cositis had that kept Desperado out of the meta, but it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it's got the 2800 defense, so that just stops them cold in their tracks, right?
Yeah, they need to draw Karma Cut. And if they're Karma Cutting your your ulti pedal fin, like it's really good when you have like other cards to pressure them, like Neos, or if you have Pergs, like then it's like, well, they have to decide if they either could Karma Cut my pedal fin and die to Perg, or they hit the Perg and they have to deal with the next turn, and also have to worry about the pedal fin on the board. Like it's just a lot of dynamics involved with cards like Winda, which is why it's probably gonna get hit in the next ban list. It's just too good.
I want to know, were there times, I mean, typically you want to send off the shell when you're bringing out Neos. Did you ever throw Winda into the grave? Did you ever run into that situation?
I don't think so.
Okay. It was typically the
I'm
shell.
trying
I
to
mean,
think.
that's the better play, but I'm just trying to think.
Well, yeah.
Was there
I mean,
ever a
there's
time
also
where it was like,
plays-
oh, I'm going to use Winda instead for whatever reason?
There's also plays where you throw Alistair in the grave because you have the invocation in hand.
Right.
Like, so like it's either going to be Alistair, Shell, or Winda. I think I maybe threw Wind in the Grave once because it was like late game, and
That's
I
all
didn't
you
want
had?
to send Alistair. Like, I probably had like another Alistair in the deck, but I didn't want to send it. That's
Right.
probably like the only
Right.
time that I sent
Okay.
Winda. So yeah, and I just didn't have any more like shells to send or anything. Outside of that, no, I never really done that because this is the main reason for that is because like if I'm not gonna send like shell because I don't want to get purged,
Mhm.
or like even then like it honestly doesn't matter too much because if I just leave Neos on the board and I have back row purg's not really gonna matter anyways, because they won't be able to kill me through it. But let's say if I didn't want to and I send Alistair instead, um, if they're gonna use my Alistair, the banish, that's their one invocation that they're using, unless they're making Kaliga with their own Alistair, because then they can't add back the invocation, and the invocation is essentially at 1 now. So, like that could be a bait in a way, you know. And then they would be locked off for their fusions, which is gonna be um their main
Their
win
main
con.
win con, yeah.
Yeah. So, um, it never really like throwing Wind in the Grave never really like came up at all outside of that one time, you know.
So another question I have for you is have you noticed any inherent weaknesses with Invoked Neos against the meta decks? Obviously they've lost a lot, only down to one invocation, very vulnerable against cards that can straight up target banish things out of the graveyard. You're not running very much back row hate in this deck either.
Yeah.
So in this tournament specifically, and kind of like all around when you were testing, like what were some of the weaknesses that you found?
I would say like aggressive decks could probably take advantage of it. There were a lot of games where I would open like Neos Fusion Pass, like just triple monster in hand. Like it was a lot of games like that, and like if I ran into Black Wings or Cyber Dragons, like I feel like those decks could definitely like just tear it apart. Um, and it just never so like came up. I only played against like control decks or Desperado or
That's true,
you know.
man. A lot
It's
of these
all your
OTK
matchup.
decks start of the new ban list, they were popping off. They fizzled out very quickly.
Yeah, because they all lose the Desperado.
That's why, yeah.
So like that's another thing. Like this deck did well, but because of that, like I didn't have like to worry about that because I'm not like Neo's Fusion Pass. I'm not really gonna lose to anything unless I get like Ultra God handed, and that's like few and far between. When it comes to like the mirror matches or Desperado or things like that. And if I even get like time to draw into like one Karma Cut or like even have the skill to throw back the shells to get me traps or Alistair or whatever, then it never really felt weak against anything. I think maybe Desperado. I don't know. My matchups against Desperado were kind of like interesting because like it felt like I always had like multiple Karma Cuts in those matchups. Like I always drew them. So like
You're just having a good day. You're just having a
yeah,
good
I was
day.
just essentially like I couldn't really I can't really speak for like that matchup.
Mhm.
Outside of like I think in top 8 when I played Grucius. That was like the only one that actually went back and forth. And he opened in game 3 he opened double cup of ace, but he didn't draw into Desperado at all. So like I managed to
How is that
clutch that
even
one out.
possible?
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
don't
thinking,
know.
right? Like, well, something that I'm thinking is that just when I look at your deck list, is that given the limitations on Alistair, this deck is doing as much as it can to compensate for the fact that you're not going to guaranteed have Alistair Purgatrio as your first aggressive play. You may
Yeah.
have to go into Neos Fusion. You may have to go into a Ritual Beast Fusion monster. And because of that, you can outpace most meta decks because their first move is to start setting up for their main boss monster, their main play to set up their board.
Yeah.
Not the case of your deck. You have a lot of your deck is set up for controlling your opponent and drawing into your stuff after your second or third turn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely how I see it as well. It's just too like if I Karma Cut like one of their cards, it could matter a lot But if one of my cards get karma cut, like it's bad, but it's not as bad. Like I could just top another window, or I can just rip or I can just rip another Alistair, or I can discard the invocation to get the Alistair back. I think the only time karma cut really sucked was when it was on Neos Fusion or the Neos, Brave Neos.
Right.
But like, you know, it never really felt that I was losing to back row throughout the whole tournament, except for round 5 when I was playing against that Invoked Droid. That was absolute AIDS. That was so AIDS. I was like, wow. It was just bad. Which is why when I played it in the finals, I was really scared because I was like, I really felt like I wasn't going to be able to pull it out because that deck is just too much. Like all the hand traps and the like him and me not having to like multiple ballista squads, which would be good in that matchup, and also like having Winda as an engine is essentially dead because you just lose the perk. So that's like the only time when Winda is not good is in the mirror matches. But I managed to pull it out with the back row. So I do think that the hero version of the deck, the one that plays Shaowz, I think that one is probably going to be better moving forward because of like just the mirror matches, being able to apply pressure to back row and
you don't know how many people you just made so happy.
I know. As much as I don't want to say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that deck has not seen any success in battle phase tournaments, but it's been pretty successful outside. So I'm interested to see now that Invoked Neos has kind of seen some success. I want to see how the two decks stack up and what's more viable, right? Like the draw skill being available in previous Invoked Neos or Invoked Heroes actually being able to succeed.
Well, real quick before we move on, I wanted to ask you again, first turn plays, because you kind of hinted at that. What's an ideal first turn play with this? And then if you don't have that, what do you try to do?
So like if you open, if I open window pass against some decks, that's just FTK. But opening like Neos Fusion, Alistair maybe like Neos Fusion, Alistair, Karma Cut, and maybe Shell, so you can get like throwback 2. That's probably like the best. Being able to like set or have the Brave Neos, set the Alistair, or play it depending on if you're afraid of like chain or something, or if you have the Ballista squad, and having like Karma Cut plus another back row is just that's like the ultimate turn one, because Karma Cut deals with everything. Like if you're going first, Karma Cut deals with everything. Everything like essentially passes the Karma Cut unless they have like the nuts hand.
So you want to get
like
that,
if you have.
I was gonna say you want to get that Neos out on the board like in defense, set your Alistair, and then just Karma Cut and a discard.
I don't think I ever put Neos in defense because I think like I'm trying to think why. I think like in the mirror match, I don't want to lose like the Neos battle. Like I want to make sure that both of our Neos lose that Neos Fusion if they decide to swing. Also, if they have like Winda, like it would be really stupid of them to crash Winda just to get rid of like the Neos Fusion in the grave. So, I don't think I ever did it throughout the whole tournament. I never felt that I needed to, even against Desperado, because like I don't mind like them crashing to get the Desperado out if I have what I need to deal with it. Which never really came up at all. So usually I would just Karma Cut the monster on summon. But yeah.
I see.
What else?
Or so you're pretty much that Karma Cut. We talk about it like it's enemy controller nowadays. I mean,
pretty much, yeah, bro.
Did you start with 3 Karma Cut and then build your deck around it?
So funny. I have a funny story about the deck. So like, before the tournament, right? Because I had worked late, 3 days in a row throughout the week, and Axel just dropped. So I was trying to get Volcanic Wall because I really don't like the meta. So I was like, man, the only deck I really enjoy is Witchcrafters, and I was actually like wanting to play that for the whole week, but I was not gonna play it if I couldn't get the level up. So I was grinding as much as I could in like the last 2 or 3 days, and I only got on the 40 level 40, and I just didn't feel like doing it with the 3 hours left that I had. So I was like, all right, then what am I gonna play? And I saw that deck like doing like decently well in like any times and stuff, and I was like, you know what, that looks kind of fun actually. So I tested it a bit with my teammate Dark Ragnar, and it was drawn well. I was like, I like this. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna play this, and we'll see how it goes. I made sure that that was one of the choices, like or like in deck choicing. I wanted to make sure that my deck did karma cuts. So I guess you could say that that was the first 3 cards in the deck, and then I went on from there. you know, um, I even convinced Dark Ragnar to play it. He also topped with it. He got top 16, I think. So obviously the deck it's definitely real. You know, I'm glad that I was not expecting it to perform as well as it did, but you know I'm glad that it ended up doing so. So yeah, it was a last minute decision to play the deck. I hadn't touched that deck at all before like 3 hours before the tournament. So
Wow.
you know.
Yeah.
I had read the skill for like the first time. Like I read the skill before, but I had like read into it. I didn't know you only had to have pyro monsters in hand until like 45
Oh,
minutes before.
man. You thought it was
you know.
super busted.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely broken. Like, but yeah.
Well, one thing I noticed when I was doing data for the power rankings this week was the deck didn't really see any play into the later part of the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it just seemed like it invaded the MCS.
Yeah.
What happened? Like no one was playing it in the beginning of the week, then all of a sudden everybody was like, let's get in there. Was it?
I think just I don't know. I think a lot of people were just blinded by the Desperado and Noble Knight like being considered the best decks. And you know they were focusing a lot on that. So and you know people are gonna think that like Invoked is gonna be bad because of like all the hits and stuff. So like I'm not surprised that it was just out of nowhere. It just so happened that in the MCS is when the woke people came through. It was like, yo, this deck's real as hell. Like the people must have been testing hard for the MCS and just not like the top players or you know people who play in tournaments just were not like playing it in like battle phases or other events. So it was like we got to save this for the MCS spice, and that's what happened. All the people that played it sided for the mirror match, if I'm not mistaken. Like from the list that I saw, so like they knew what was up. It was just everybody else that didn't know what was up that essentially struggled. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think it did so well because it was a surprise? That was kind of my theory when I was talking.
I definitely think it's part of it. I definitely think it's part of it. I don't think in Swiss I ran into like a matchup where I got sided, like I got bodied by the side deck. I don't think it ever
guys
happened.
Playing system down. You're like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
That's all you had in your side deck.
I'm
I get
system
it.
down too. I got one too, bro. So
he's just desperate trying to figure out what's in his side deck that works. He's just putting anything in there.
Yeah, I think DD Crow is probably like the only one, like the only card that maybe have been like in side decks of what you call it, but I never actually got DD Crow'd in Swiss.
Wow.
Yeah, I only got hit by DD Crow in top 32, but I still won the game. So
nice.
Very good. Very nice.
Yeah, it's just you know the surprise factor in the competent deck is just too good. It's just too good.
So tell me a little bit about playing in the finals, because you're playing for what? Like it was like $1,400. Was that the prize pool?
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
lot.
It's like 14. Yeah, it's a lot. You know, there's a lot on the line.
There's a lot on the line. There's 5,000 people watching. You know.
There's like all the supporters, like
I'm sure there's people DMing you, you know, like good luck, man, good luck. So that's just making it more and more built up or whatever. I mean, what's it like? Are you like overthinking every play and stuff?
I surprisingly played like really like calm in the finals.
You're used to the pressure, man. You're a top.
Yeah, I've been here for a minute.
You're competitive. You're one of the old guard, you know. You've been around.
But I don't want to say like yeah, bro, I'm just that Chad. But like I definitely felt I definitely felt that like I felt like at the beginning of the tournament I felt like shivers. Yeah, I won my first round. Like I gotta continue playing well, but I guess just throughout the tournament, like I just got used to it, like the pressure of winning, and it just I was like, all right, just chill out. I think when I recognized that I needed to all right, I got to do this was when I played against Grucius in top 8. That was when I was like, yeah, I got to do this because I knew that like if anyone was gonna beat me in the rest of the tournament, it was gonna be him.
Yeah,
so
the number one player in the world right now, definitely.
Yeah, I felt like I had to beat Grucius because like the last time we played, I lost to him because I timed out with Block Dragon, and he ended up winning that MCS. And I felt like I was owed money because I essentially just gave him the win. Like, but regardless of that, I felt like I needed to beat him. So, I would say that set was probably my favorite of like the whole tournament. Like, because it went pretty back and forth. And just being able to win through double couple ace is like that's like monumental.
Right.
Like it was just insane.
Yeah,
So,
that's like I think like double cup of ace is like probably the hugest power spike in the game right now. I think 4 cards from 4 guaranteed cards from 2 is pretty nuts in the grand scheme of things. From consistency as a whole, and you being able to stack up to that with this deck is pretty huge. That just goes to show how effective, like Alistair, a draw skill, and some discard traps can be.
yeah.
Like can literally be the holy trinity for a deck sometimes.
There's that, and also he had head judging and he missed. So
No, really?
Oh, I will. A lot of people will like this. So throughout the whole tournament, I had head judging flipped on me 3 times, and they all missed. I knew that it was. I knew it was my time when the first 2 missed. I was like, all right.
I don't think I've ever gotten that thing. I've never called it right. Ever.
Me neither.
I can tell you the same. Like before the tournament, like on ladder or in tournament or like just anything, like I always get it wrong. Like my monster just belongs to them. Like the moment that card flips up, like I always get it wrong. So it felt really good for like I would consider like the most cancerous card maybe in the meta right now. For me to just defeat it 3 times, like it was really nice. Yeah, I think the question was like the pressure, like how I felt.
Yeah, in the finals.
Yeah, so in the finals, like going into the finals, I definitely felt like if I was gonna lose, it would have been there because like that deck is just cancer, and like I don't mind cancer, but I definitely felt that the matchup was for sure in the like Haru's favor, and he's not gonna like misplay or anything. Like he's probably gonna be playing perfect the whole time, so. Like that's not really a win con either. So.
Right, and just to clarify, for those who do not know, a deck that people have not seen in Battle Phase that much, the runner-up deck was this kind of invoked Roid, what I can only describe as a stall invoked deck with Battle Boxer Veil and using the old invoked Roid engine and just the fat trap lineup, 3 of Canadia, Floodgate, Fiendish, and Ballista. So that's what we faced in the finals.
Yeah, and I had lost to it in round 5 technically. Like I technically won, but like that would have been my only loss. So like it's obvious that like it's not in my favor. But I just managed to just if there was any moment for me to God hand, it was in the finals. And I'm glad that it ended up going that way. Especially game 2 where I was just top decking back row that did with all 3 of his pergs. And then essentially after that, I just have to keep swinging until he's dead. So, I would definitely say that another thing that helped a lot in the last 2 rounds was I finally drew into my side deck Chaos Hunter, which I was like up until that point I was like really regretting like bringing it because I either never drew it in like the Neos the Invoked matchups or I just like. It never really mattered. But I drew it in semis, and it essentially won me both game 2 and 3. and then
Yep.
I drew it in the finals, and it played a part in winning the second game because he had to floodgate it. So that's one floodgate gone that I have to worry about in a 30 card deck. Of course, he still had 2 floodgates, but you know, just forcing that out so that my Neos and Purg can swing freely was really nice. And I don't know, it was just I really didn't think I could do it because like that deck, it really felt like it was just gonna eat me alive. But I'm just glad that my deck pulled through to essentially just outdraw him. You know.
So now that
So
you've won one of these things, are you gonna play in another one?
I don't know, maybe I've been thinking about what I want to do because like before this tournament, I was really hating the game. Like I was like, I don't want to do this. This game sucks. It steals my money. Like I don't like this game. Like especially after losing not making playoffs in Team Wars, like I had like no drive. I was like, well, ain't nothing to do now, essentially, you know.
Mhm.
So I only signed up for this one because I had the day off. I was like, all right, I guess I'll play in it. Why not? This may or may not be the last one I play in, depending on how I feel. But of course, Konami's like, you thought you were getting away, but let me show you something.
He's back,
So
baby.
I mean, I'm still deciding what I want to do, but right now I'm definitely like in a positive mood in the game. Not to mention that there are those leaks for potential, New Year selection box, and
Mhm.
one of those cards is one of my favorite cards of all time. So,
And what card is that?
Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
Oh God, get out of here.
I
outta
love
here.
me some dinos, boy. I will. Oh man, you
We're not getting
understand.
that card anytime soon.
Nah, we're getting it, bro. We're getting it. Konami's crazy.
Kamel's
Konami's
saying no
crazy.
way. Kamel's saying no
Nah,
way.
like I used to think that way too. Like, yeah, cards are crazy, but Konami's just like, I don't think Konami cares anymore, man. Honestly, I honestly think it would be the perfect card for like a tier 0 format. Then turn like, people would find ways to counter it, kind of like how it went with 6Ms. So if
I
it
would
even is tier
love
0,
for Dinos to be good. I would love for Dinos. I just don't know. That card's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah, man.
it's definitely a plus. Like that if that is true, like it definitely will probably keep me in for a little bit
That's
longer,
gonna
or for however longer.
people are gonna spend a lot of money if that's in a selection box.
Yeah.
Sure.
People can go crazy on it. But no, I appreciate you coming by, man. It's great to see you win this because, like I said, we've known you for years now, and you've
Yeah.
been clapping all along, and now you finally get your Super Bowl ring. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's
for
pretty cool
sure.
to see. So, was there anybody you wanted to shout out before we get out of here?
Oh man. Shout out to you guys, of course.
Woo.
Always supporting me. Shout out to Circus and his $211. Shout out to Dex Factor.
Yep.
Still remember that. Um,
Yeah.
Shout out to all my teams. Bless RNG, been with me from the start, built me up from the bottom. Uh, Sun Clan, for taking me in for Clan Wars. We almost made it through last chance qualifiers, but is what it is. Shout out to my current team, Abusement Park. Bunch of clappers. We got lucked in the season, but it's all good. Definitely helped. I would definitely say me joining that team definitely helped with me winning this MCS. Just being around a lot of seasoned MCS toppers, and even having people that have won it before. So, especially shout out to Hype Beast. He's a cuck. Clash, bruh. The Sack, bruh. Restar. My British boy. Lamp posted my Scottish boy. These damn EU cucks, man. I swear. And special thanks to Arkdor for pretty much being by my side the whole time, and Ultimix, which is not a player that anyone would know, but he's the one that essentially got me into the game. So
Nice. Well, thanks again, man,
Yeah.
for coming on. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody that watched the video really liked it because I don't know, talking to Shaowz is always fun, and then talking about the MCS is pretty cool too. So
For sure.
gonna do the outro stuff. Make sure to get into our Discord because that's where we host all of our tournaments, and they're free to join. And so is the Discord, so that's pretty awesome. We also have a great new player help channel in there. We can get all your questions answered. We got a new player stream on Saturday nights. That's a lot of fun. Kamel's on Thursday mornings at like 3 a.m. doing Battle Phase of the Rising Sun.
That's right.
sure to
6
check
a.m.
that out.
Thursday.
Yeah,
I definitely gotta that's the next thing. I gotta win a battle phase.
There
I
you
have
go.
two.
Yeah.
I have two second place battle phase tops. That's not good.
So keep an eye out for that, folks. And yeah, we're gonna get out of here. I'm Circus. That's Kamel and Shaowz.
Peace out, guys.
Congrats on your win, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you next time, guys.
Peace out.